Hello, this is my online classroom overview screencast. So on Schoology, I created my online classroom to be focused on seniors who are doing a unit on satire because I do teach ELA to high school seniors. So the first page that you land on, you have the Meet Miss Clutcha, just a little welcome message from me. The Getting Started folder includes just information to introduce them to the course, so it's an additional welcome message more focused on English 12. Here's the discussion forum, and then here is the introduction assignment directions. So the discussion forum, this is not specific to anything they're doing in the unit. This is just if they have any questions for their peers, they can all kind of chat there. The introduction assignment is just creating a screencast about themselves and a voice thread, so that does include the audio of the multimedia that must be included. So the course materials folder, this has the class syllabus in there. So the syllabus includes our procedures, the grading policies, kind of an overview of the longer unit, and I did choose 4 lessons from that unit that I adapted for the Schoology site. So before we get into the unit, here is the Schoology library. This just has some additional resources if they're having issues navigating, which I think Schoology is pretty user-friendly, so, it is helpful to have that for some kiddos, but I'm really happy with how Schoology works navigational-wise. And then this little yellow folder at the bottom has some argumentative writing resources, just, this is English 12. We do focus on argumentative writing a lot, so it's hard if you are online. You don't have the teacher right in front of you to ask. So this just gives some clarification to help them out. So jumping into the satire unit that they'll focus on, I included a unit outline just because, while the syllabus does outline it, this focuses more on just these 4 lessons, so they know they're hitting everything in the order that they're supposed to be completed. So jumping back to the main unit page, I have the 4 lessons broken up into the sequence with the different colors, so they know what they start with. They're clearly labeled different colors. They won't get confused and go to the wrong one and do things out of order because that would just mess up the whole unit. So jumping into lesson 1, if you drop down that menu, here's the lesson 1 outline specifically, so while they're within those lesson folders, they can stay focused on just that and not kind of get overwhelmed. So this would last about 9 days to complete this unit. It does take some time just because there's a lot of editing and revising that goes into the final project. That's about 4 days of it. So it does go a little over a week. So first they would watch the Rhetorical Strategies screencast, which is just the introduction to ethos, logos, and pathos, which they'll use the rest of the unit. So as they listen to the screencast, I go through the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is also included below for them, so that they can go back at any time if they don't feel like listening to my voice. They can kind of go at their own pace and read through it again to, study. They then will take an ethos, logos, and pathos quiz. If you click on the quiz, this is a formative assessment in which they can kind of set the goal to really learn ethos, logos, and pathos. So after they take the quiz, there's multiple choice questions and some short answers. They just type in their own response. They can see where they're at. I have it set so that they can see the result right away. They know what they got wrong and they know what they need to fix. And that kind of helps them set that goal. So in the future, they know what they need to work on. So going back to lesson 1, after they take the quiz, they'll start the group assignment in which they create a commercial. So the way it's set up, they're going to make a Google Slides in a group of 3, focusing on ethos, logos, and pathos of some sort of ad that they want to sell. And then they'll use the Screencast-O-Matic site that I'm a fan of to take a screencast of that PowerPoint, turning it into sort of a commercial. So while they're talking, their inflection will kind of let me know, okay, they're going more towards pathos, trying to get us to be a little empathetic. And the way it's set up, each of the 3 group members are in charge of either ethos, logos, or pathos. So if someone does not do pathos, the other group members doing ethos and logos will not be docked points because they did their components. So that kind of holds them accountable. And of course, it is English 12. There is a little reflection that they'll have to do. No less than 500 words, This is kind of the more individual component as well. So if they're not as strong speaking, the writing can shine through to assure that everyone, who learns in different ways are achieving, similar results. So going back to the unit, lesson 2, this is the satire intro. So they'd start off, I have the lesson 2 outline again. They would watch this Prezi. It has some videos included and different images about satire. They have to watch this before completing any assignments. Then here's the satire discussion board in which they're communicating with their peers specifically about the content. So they go to the discussion board and it does give them a photo, and they have to, analyze the satire used there and then communicate with each other using the proper communication skills online. And then they will complete a satire at a glance analysis assignment. It's a formative assessment. And then they will complete a Flipgrid assignment at the end of the satire. So with Flipgrid, it's pretty cool. I can just put the prompt up there and then they respond with a little video of themselves answering, which I think that's neat rather than just a discussion board again. So lesson 3 is a satire analysis. They'll complete a web quest of Jonathan Swift, who is the author of A Modest Proposal. So rather than a traditional web quest where they just go to the links and answer the questions, they're going to turn that into a Google Slides presentation that instead of sharing with the class in person, they'll make a screencast of, so the class can look at what each other has learned about Jonathan Swift before we jump into reading. They'll then read A Modest Proposal and answer these analysis questions, which will then be submitted in the A Modest Proposal analysis assignment. And finally, lesson 4, they create their own satire. So this is the longest chunk of this unit, and it'll take about 4 days. So this will bring us into the next week. It does have the outline there again. So the Modest Proposal assignment, what it includes, they're making up their own proposal to fix something, and they're using the satiric methods. So this has all the information. This is the brainstorming activity they complete. Then they write their rough draft. Here is the rubric that they can use to make sure they're hitting all of the points, make sure they get everything. And then they do a peer editing assignment with each other online. It's completely anonymous. They just kind of get some, feedback to see how it's going, and then they submit their final proposal here. So overall, I think Schoology is pretty user-friendly. I like that you can drop down all the menus and see everything, and I'm pretty happy with how this worked out with all the components being included. So thank you for watching.